Well, after finishing recovery efforts in the local area, FEMA is now looking to hire local people to help with the next disaster. FEMA says they're trying to hire people from every disaster area they visit in hopes of adding the insight of those people who have experienced disasters firsthand, and that the majority of their workforce consists of people from disaster-affected areas. Applicants can apply online or attend a FEMA job fair, one of which was held in Mankato today. Leaders at the job fair say the hiring process is never complete because there's always a new disaster somewhere, such as the hurricane-affected areas in the southern U.S.
That is what puts the demand on FEMA for personnel. We're always, basically always, in a hiring mode because we're working to support states in these disasters.
The next FEMA job fair will be held in Rochester next Tuesday.